So I heard you wanted to be a ghost hunter. I heard you thought it would be a pretty kooky, spooky time. Well, let me tell you, you're not wrong about that. But not just anyone can hack it in this line of work. You need a certain flair, a certain psychic sensitivity, a certain astral je ne sais quoi that they just don't teach you in any college or correspondence course you care to name. So first, I'm going to give you a little bit of introduction to the business of ghost hunting, and then we're going to check to see how psychically sensitive you are. How does that sound? Good, good. I like your enthusiasm, kid. Alright, so first, what is a ghost hunter? Well, a ghost hunter, put quite simply, is one who hunts ghosts. And by ghosts, I mean any variety of ghosts. I mean traditional interactive hauntings. I mean residual hauntings. I mean even demonic hauntings, about which more later. But you need to be prepared for the fact that this is not just about locating spirits, but also dealing with them, which does include, at times, disposing of them. You can't let your sympathies get in the way. If there's a family being troubled by a spirit, you need to be prepared to expel it with extreme prejudice. Not all ghosts are Casper, kiddo. Casper's just a bedtime story. Well then, with that in mind, let me introduce you to the Ghost Hunter's Toolkit. The first thing that any ghost hunter will need is what I refer to as the Bible. And that's right, I'm talking about Ghost Hunting for Dummies, written by Mr. Zach Bagans, foremost authority in the field. Anything you could ever need to know about hunting ghosts is in this book. And one of the first things it tells you is how to stock up on supplies for your initial ghost hunting expedition. Now, according to this book, you need all sorts of things like tape for measuring and paper and pencil for recording experiences and EMF meters for detecting electromagnetic fluctuations. But I run a lean operation, and I find that only 3 things are necessary for your average ghost hunting foray. First is, of course, a flashlight, because often ghosts come out in the dark. You'll notice that this flashlight is entirely flat. That is because it is the kind that is a magnet that sticks to your refrigerator. Really, any flashlight will do. We're not snobs when it comes to equipment specifications around here, as long as it works. The next thing you're gonna need is some libations, because frankly 90% of ghost hunting is sitting around in the dark waiting for ghosts to appear, and that can get very, very boring very, very fast. You know what I mean, kiddo? Sorry, that was the last of it. I didn't bring enough to share. Now, the third thing you need, and this is something that is copyrighted by my ghost organization, the National Federal Ghost Hunters International of America, is this. I purchased this from a Tibetan lama outside a public restroom 5 miles from the Dalai Lama's palace itself. And that lama assured me, and I found this to be true, that this is the single most efficacious, sensitive, top of the line EMF egg on the market. Now, what's an EMF egg? An EMF egg is like an EMF meter, except it's shaped like an egg. Its sensors are entirely light-based. Disturbance of the light equals disturbance of EMF frequencies, which equals disturbances caused by spirits. And also, unlike an EMF meter, which can cost upwards of hundreds of dollars, this cost $5 outside a public restroom in Tibet. That's right. That's right. I know a bargain when I see one. Not only a ghost hunter, kiddo, I'm also a bargain hunter. Right. But we'll save that for later. Now let's talk about the different kinds of ghosts you might encounter on the field. The first one are your traditional interactive ghosts. This is what you think about if you've seen The Conjuring, if you've seen Insidious, if you've seen the Amityville Horror, if you've seen The X-Files, or certain episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. This is the kind of ghost you encounter. This is the kind of ghost that will appear nearly corporeal, will approach you, will speak to you, will listen when spoken to. This is the kind of ghost that behaves almost as if it's a living person, and in fact, this type of ghost often does not recognize the fact that it is no longer a living person, hence why it interacts with you as if everything is normal. Interacting ghosts are certainly the most romantic of the genre. That's why there's so many movies made about them, but unfortunately in real life they are vanishingly rare. Oh, you think you've seen one? You think maybe you've seen one. Well, isn't that interesting? You're gonna have to tell me more about that, kiddo, but first I'm gonna finish my spiel. So, after interactive ghosts, we have what we call residual hauntings. Residual hauntings do not interact. They do not recognize human beings. They do not acknowledge your presence. They do not speak to you. Instead, what they do is act out the same scenes over and over again, like a recording on a camcorder or a skipping DVD. And often those scenes have to do with potentially the most traumatic moment of their life. A woman whose child has died will reenact the scene at his deathbed over and over and over. A man who hangs himself will interact stepping off that stool and allowing the noose to tighten around his neck over and over and over. These are not pleasant scenes to witness, and unfortunately families who are haunted by a residual spirit have to witness them regularly. Now, sometimes residual hauntings are affected by ambient environmental conditions. For example, residual hauntings tend to replay themselves when humidity and temperature and season match those that were present at the time the recording was originally made. Now, your next question might be, exactly how are such events recorded? Well, if you read Ghost Hunting for Dummies by Zach Bagans, a legend in our field, you will discover that such recordings are often copied into materials that you find around yourself every day. For example, a certain brick wall will be host to a recording. A certain lake will be host to a recording. Now, what do a brick wall and a lake have in common? That's right, water. Scientists cannot yet explain it, but there is growing consensus among top academics that water holds memory. For example, think of homeopathic medicine. Homeopathic medicine involves diluting a substance with water over and over and over and over again until functionally it isn't there. But when you examine that water under a microscope, what you find is that the water behaves as if the substance is still present, even though it is functionally non-extant. Why is that? Because water has a memory. So, whether it's water in a lake or water contained inside the structure of a brick, that water can retain the memory of a particularly tragic experience, and then when conditions are right, a replay can be triggered. That's cutting edge science. That's not something they're going to teach you in a classroom. Now, we've covered residual spirits. Let's move on to poltergeist activity. That's right. Poltergeists, as made famous by the movie Poltergeist. These spirits are very well known, You might be aware that poltergeist is a German term meaning noisy ghosts. They throw things, they slam doors, they move precious objects, they knock paintings off the walls. If you get a particularly vicious one like the Bell Witch, they might actually cause physical harm to human beings, biting, scratching, berating them. Now what's interesting, kiddo, is that not all poltergeist activity is actually caused by spirits of the deceased. You see, poltergeist activity is often focused around individuals with high emotional energy, particularly teenage girls. But what often turns out to be the case is that far from being caused by a spirit, it's caused by the teenage girls themselves by a latent psychokinetic power that neither they nor their parents or guardians were aware that they possessed. Unbeknownst to them, the victims are the ones actually causing the hauntings to manifest. They are the sources of their own torment. It's more common than you might think. In fact, some people think that was the case with the Bell Witch. Yes, that it was the teenage daughter of the family. It was her psychokinetic energy manifesting and causing haunting-like symptoms to appear. That's right. Yes. Now, this last type of haunting is one not to be taken lightly, and I don't wish to frighten you because it is vanishingly rare, but it is something that happens and you need to be prepared in case you encounter it in the field. I'm talking about demonic hauntings. And that's right. You might have seen demonic hauntings in the aforementioned Insidious, or perhaps in the Paranormal Activity series. Demons are just one type of a whole panoply of otherworldly creatures that can be characteristic of what we call a portal haunting. A portal haunting is what we might call a thin spot. It's a space where beings from this world and other parallel worlds can move between freely among the various realms. And unfortunately, while some of the beings might be human-like, or at least benevolent, demons are a very, very different subject. If a demon decides to move through a portal, through a thin spot, and attach itself to a human, there's very little you can do. At that point, we in the ghost hunting field typically will call an exorcist. It's beyond our purview and frankly beyond our pay grade to try and exorcise a demon by ourselves. However, should you encounter a demon, you should be aware of the different stages of demon possession. Common symptoms will overlap considerably with that of a poltergeist or a PK, psychokinetic haunting. So that will include abnormal noises, maybe frightened animals, manipulation of objects throughout the house. But in addition to those, it will also include nightmares. It will also include physical and psychological disturbances in the human beings that inhabit the property. Finally, it will include symptoms of oppression. Oppression is when you start to doubt your very sanity. The demon has taken such a hold on you that you might experience screams, heavy breathing, hellish moans, without apparent source at all times of the day. As you slowly lose your grip from reality, you become disconnected from those around you. This is the demon trying to isolate you from sources of love and comfort so as to make you easier to possess. And in fact, that is the final stage. The final stage is possession. Once you are possessed by the demon, there's nothing anyone can do apart from a certified priest or perhaps multiple certified priests. If you start to feel signs of disturbances, particularly if you start to feel signs of oppression, like the demon is trying to make you doubt your sanity and isolate you from your fellow investigators, you need to leave immediately. It is very important to recognize these signs. Once you are possessed, I am afraid that we, as the National Federal Ghost Hunters International of America, can no longer vouch for you, can no longer help you, and more importantly, can no longer disperse your weekly paycheck. And no, we can't do that, just legally. That's not something we can do. So don't get possessed by a demon. All right. I think think we've said enough of that. Now, as I said, I would like to test your psychic sensitivity. Good. Now I've got the device all booted up. This right here is my group's very own patent-pending EMF detection device, and it is in fact available in the App Store for $1.99 subscription per month. Now, when I say EMF, what that stands for is electromagnetic frequency. Electromagnetic frequency is all around us in our daily environment. Ambient electromagnetic frequency is about 60. However, the reason it can detect ghosts is that ghosts either A, interfere with electromagnetic frequencies, or B, are electromagnetic frequencies. Either one could be the case, but whichever it is, they are easily detected on, well, I don't want to say any EMF reader. I highly recommend you get our group's application. It is well worth the money. It is infinitely more sensitive than other models on the market. Right, so what I'm going to do is a sweep of this room with this EMF detection meter. You may be wondering why I invited you to interview in this particular location. Well, that's because it is legendarily haunted. So I'm sort of killing two birds with one stone. This is both an investigation and your job interview, so to speak. Now, once I do a sweep of the room, I will locate a spirit, or at least a EMF disturbance. And I will ask you to pinpoint exactly where that disturbance is. If you and this app agree on where the EMF disturbance is in the room, then I will deem you sufficiently psychically sensitive to join our group, the National Federal Ghost Hunters International of America. Good. So, let's do a quick sweep of the room, shall we? Entity detected. Somewhere in the room, indeed. Okay, well, I can tell you there is a disturbance in the electromagnetic field. Now, are you able to pinpoint, using only your own psychic sensitivity, where precisely that disturbance is? Very good. Very impressive, kiddo. That's right. The disturbance is you. You did mention previously that you had experienced a haunting, did you not? And did not I mention previously that sometimes hauntings are in fact the result of the psychokinetic power of those with particularly high emotional volatility? Yes, that's right. Given sufficient impetus and sufficient levels of emotion, a highly psychokinetically active individual can manifest symptoms, manifest phenomena that are very much in keeping with a typical haunting, generally a poltergeist haunting, but in your case it seems manifested as an interactive haunting. Whatever entity it is you think you saw or spoke with, it was in fact a manifestation of whatever you were feeling, whatever psychic activity was coursing through your body at that moment. So how about that, kiddo? Well, I can say that we would be more than pleased to have you join our group. Yes. Your welcome packet will be in the mail now. Do keep in mind that membership is $75 for the first month and $150 per month for each subsequent month. After all, we are giving you access to our equipment, including this app, for free. No $1.99 per month for you. And also including this egg. Now, I do recognize that I said this egg cost me only $5 outside a public restroom in Tibet. But here in America, it's at somewhat of a premium because you can't just go to a public restroom in America and get this kind of device. It doesn't exist. It's supply and demand. So this is worth considerably more here than it was in Tibet. I think that justifies the membership fee, don't you? Right. Good. Well then, I will put you on the rotation for all of our investigative activities in the future, and I look forward to working with you, kiddo.